This episode of Showbiz Chicago is sponsored by Perillo BMW, Chicago's largest BMW dealership, located at 1035 North Clark Street in Chicago. Welcome to Showbiz Chicago, the podcast. Well, I finally have him with me, folks. I am so pleased to have Jeff Garlin. I am a huge fan. He is an author, comedian, producer, actor, you name it, he's done it. And he has his new show opening at Steppenwolf. I believe I have it down here, December 4th through the 16th, Closer Than I Appear.
Yes.
So, before we go into your backstory, Mr. Garlin,
yes,
what is Closer Than I Appear?
It's a takeoff on what you see in your right rearview mirror. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear.
Wow.
And I'm closer than I appear.
You are. You're very close, and I'm so excited.
Yes, yes, yes.
So what goes into making a show, a one-man show? Because there's really no such thing as a one-man show. But, but what...
Well, there's different types of one-man shows. I've done different versions of them. I've seen numerous versions of them. This one is sort of stand-up with depth is the best way to describe it. And it's improvised, quite a bit of it. I don't know what I'm going to say. We'll see, you know, yeah.
So how do you get the concept, though? Like, what goes through that
there is no
miraculous
concept. There is no concept. There's no concept.
So it's just a free-for-all.
Yes, there may be a concept after I start doing it, but there's not. I don't. You know, here's the thing. I've done solo shows where I've had a director. I don't have a director.
So there's no director with this?
No director. No. But when I say with substance, you know, I hope that people laugh and enjoy it. But I hope, you know, how when you see theater, if it works, it makes you feel more human.
Yes.
It makes you feel connected. I hope there's a bit of that. That's what I'm, you know, I want more than just laughs. Well, although the laughs alone are hard to come by, but I am hoping that there's a level of, you know, depth to it.
And truth. It always comes down to the
truth. Truth is
right?
For sure, yes. Well, truth, or sometimes I just don't, can I say anything here?
Anything.
I just don't want bullshit.
Correct.
What I mean by that is, I love, for example, Paul Reubens, Pee Wee Herman.
Yes.
When I watch Pee Wee's Playhouse, Pee Wee's Big Adventure, I saw his theatrical piece that he did. That's true within the world that he created. So I like silly, and I like, let's say, Richard Pryor.
Correct.
I don't like when someone goes on stage and says something, and I, as a viewer, am watching thinking to myself, well, that's not true. That's not real. Nobody would do that. Nobody would say that.
Just for the sake of a laugh.
Yes. So for me, it's either got to be real or real within the silliness of it all.
And is that what Second City taught you?
Yes and no. Yes, from the standpoint of, I have to say, I have to give Second City credit. My stand-up, my acting style, everything that I do is based in what I learned at Second City. So there you go. But in terms of, yes, the truth. They just don't do it very much there anymore. When I'm watching a show there, when I watch a scene, people are saying things to one another that they wouldn't say. And if one person said something that they would say, the other person should react accordingly. And it's all a bit farcical for me.
Well, let's talk about how you got to Second City. I know your dad was a plumber.
No, but it was the plumbing supply business, yes.
Plumbing supply.
But at this point, they had sold the family business here in Chicago. Okay. We had moved to Florida, and I started stand-up comedy in Florida. I was a big fan of SCTV.
Oh, my God.
Yes, and from there I learned about Second City, the theater, and then I made a decision to move back here to do Second City. I dropped out of college became a comedian, and moved here to do Second City.
But wasn't your mom involved in community theater?
Yes, yes, in Florida. She was very much involved. She would be the lead in Fiddler, Sound of Music, The King and I. She'd be the lead in the community. And my dad did a bit of community theater. My brother did a bit of community theater. I never would go near community theater.
But growing up, you got to see a lot of theater then? With your family involved?
My family involved. I didn't see much. I saw a lot of theater here as a little kid at Mill Run, which was out in the suburbs in Morton Grove. Although I think it was in Niles. I lived in Morton Grove, not far from Mill Run, walking distance from Mill Run. No, most of the theater I've seen is as an adult, quite a bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my wife is a big theater person. She has a Tony party every year, and
well, let me write that down.
Yeah,
Tony party at Mrs. Garlin's.
Yes,
in June.
yes, yes.
So, what about theater do you like now that you don't think you were, you know?
Well,
that you didn't as a child.
As a child, I mean, my mother loved musicals. The only musical as a child that appealed to me. Never saw the play, saw the movie over and over and over. Couldn't get enough of it was The Sound of Music. Not The Sound of Music. Oh my God. My mom would be thrilled if she listened to this.
Right.
West Side Story.
Okay.
My mother loved Sound of Music. Took me to it. I'd be bored out of my mind. No, West Side Story. As an adult, though, I have seen all sorts of theater. And boy, oh boy, great theater is the best thing. I've seen many wonderful shows here at Steppenwolf.
Absolutely.
I've seen many great things on Broadway. I've been entertained by things such as I loved Book of Mormon I saw recently. Jersey Boys I loved the producers. So I've had a lot of fun at the theater, and I've seen a lot of great drama too, you know, so yeah, I love theater.
So what is I don't know if you would have a typical day, but like what motivates you? Like throughout the day, what inspires you?
What inspires me? I don't know, I naturally have sometimes I go through, blocks that I can't think of anything, but I wake up and I go to my office early and I write. And then after I write, I may have coffee or lunch with a friend, pick up my kids from school, hang out, and then that night I might go out and do a show. But that's pretty much my day, every day. Yeah.
And you wrote a very successful book.
I wouldn't use the word very successful.
You wrote a
Here's the thing. I wrote a book that is successful in that it's a pretty good book. But financially, and I made a lot of money. They gave me a lot of money for it.
You got it.
Unfortunately, yes, I did. Unfortunately, they didn't get much money back. So I'm sorry.
Well, not yet. That could be a long-term.
We'll see.
A long-term thing. So what was it like writing that book and about? It's so fascinating because I'm one of the ones that bought a copy of it. But it's not. It's about social responsibility more than. Anything.
Well, it's about. Yes, as a matter of fact, I would say social responsibility because that's ultimately what I learned about. The book's about me trying to go green and lose weight while making the, I believe, 7th year of Curb Your Enthusiasm, the Seinfeld season. And that's ultimately what I learned about, well, both things, because there's a lot to do with the ecology, what you eat.
Exactly.
But in terms of just being green, it's just a matter of being respectful to the world and other people and thoughtfulness. Not anything more than that, and good for you.
Right.
But anything less than that, and I think you should be ashamed.
But you look fantastic.
I look fantastic.
You look marvelous, yes. Darling. You look marvelous.
Yes, thank you. I'll just leave it at that. I'm always telling people, just say thank you, like when I compliment them and they can't handle it. Thank you. Yeah, I feel pretty good, you know, so.
And it's become a lifestyle choice then.
It's become a lifestyle choice, most definitely.
Wow. So, I want to get into, you become an independent filmmaker.
Yes, I just finished my second film. Actually, my third one, actually, if you count. I did filmed John Waters,
yes.
a one-man show of his.
That I Want Someone to Eat Cheese With.
Yeah,
my friend Roger Bart was in that.
Roger was in it, yes, he was wonderful. Roger's so good.
Oh my God.
Is he still on that TV show, what's the one, Revenge?
You know, I haven't seen it this season. I don't
But last season,
oh my God, yes.
Yeah, I saw him. By the way, I've not seen it this season either. But yeah, he was great last season. What was the question? I'm sorry, I got off the thing.
Well, you become an independent filmmaker.
Right. So I enjoy that. I just made a movie called Dealing with Idiots.
Yes.
About youth baseball parents, and that'll be coming out from the good people at IFC sometime. I'd say April. Maybe
so, what
May.
is it like getting a film financed nowadays?
Well, here's the thing. In terms of independent, it's really ridiculously difficult. I managed to get a small amount of money for this film, and I managed to make it for that small amount of money. It's a large cast, and so it was, I don't know how I did it. I can't even say it was difficult. I don't know how I pulled it off, but I know I searched for the money for about 2 years.
I know, and a lot of people that I interview, and I do a lot of independent film work on the legal side of it, and I've dealt with celebrities, and you would think it would be easy, but there's still a lot of resistance.
Well, the thing you said is really the key to show business, you'd think.
That's right.
You'd think a guy like me wouldn't be doing his comedy at Steppenwolf. You'd think.
You would think.
Because they don't even do comedic plays very often here, let alone have a guy who's just funny. So there's a lot of you'd think in show business. You get surprised both ways. So.
And what surprised you the most? What has surprised you the most in the last 20 years?
Wow, that's too big a question. I mean, the thing that's frustrating to me is the lack of passion in my industry. It's about money. It's been about money for all time, since it's been invented. I know people wanted to make money. I'm all for people making money. It's not, slapping together a painting filled with passion. I understand that. But making a film, to me, or putting up a play or doing something, I mean, when you're putting up Lion King on Broadway, it's money.
Right.
You're putting out certain movies, sequels especially, it's money. So I think that the surprising thing to me is that there aren't more people who are satisfied with getting enough. Like, what is enough? It's never enough. And that's disappointing to me.
And that not enough impacts the creativity of what moves forward, I think, a lot of times.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. Greed. It's just that, so that always, it's the thing is, here I am doing this for over 30 years, and I still get surprised at the greed and the ignorance and just the lack of because, to me, what I do is, like, as a comedian, I'll just leave it at that. Whether it's movie, television, theater, whatever, I ease people's pain.
Yes.
That's really my job. Now, do I make a good living doing it? Yes. Do I get accolades doing it? Yes. But I also sometimes don't get very much money. I also sometimes get criticized. They both go, but my objective is to, yes, earn a living, but also my objective is to contribute. And, like, when people make those Saw movies, what are they contributing to?
Right.
How are they helping things? So.
And do you think that
I don't want to be Baron von Curmudgeon. Do you know what I mean? I'm all for fun, escapism, all that stuff, but certain things you just go, how is that helping? What's the purpose of that?
And I think that underestimates the audience that is really out there.
Right.
That comes to support theater, comes to support a show like yours, or watches Curb, or any of the shows on HBO or the cable channels.
Right.
So how have you seen, in the last 30 years, with social media, how have you seen that impact your industry?
Well, unfortunately, you have to be involved in it. I have a website, I have Instagram, I have Twitter. To a degree, I have Facebook. My web person's working on that. I used to have a great Facebook situation, but the point being is, I'm a big fan of just focusing on my work. Unfortunately, that is not allowable anymore. When I say you can just do good work, but you really, if you are somebody who does not enjoy doing social media, at worst, somebody else has to do it for you.
Exactly.
So I can understand somebody going, I don't do any of that. Great. But I bet you your music label does. I bet you I can't imagine Bob Dylan being big on the internet, but certainly Columbia Records takes care of that for him. So the point is you have to have a presence.
You have to have a presence, but how does that affect the privacy aspect of what you...
Well, the privacy, so many young actresses are tweeting pictures of themselves now without makeup and without clothes to a degree. So, private, here's the thing. Sometimes people come up, they say, I don't mean to bother you. But you do.
Right.
You are coming up to me. You mean to bother me. You don't want to be a bother, but I'm nice to everyone that comes up to me. That is part of even when I'm in LA and a TMZ guy starts to film me, I don't answer his questions.
Right.
As soon as he turns off the camera, I'm very friendly to him.
Right.
I just won't be part of it. The times before I've talked to them and they've used it, I've regretted it. Not in terms of what I said, just the fact that I gave them anything. It's just, people feed on nonsense.
Right.
When you're at work, it's a great distraction. It's what it is. It's a distraction from what goes on in the world. See, I think that cell phones. I'm actually in the middle of writing something on cell phones that I'm going to do in the show. I think that cell phones, we're not better for having invented cell phones. I think we're worse for having invented cell phones. I think cell phones have made things faster. More than even computers.
Oh, yes.
Because you don't see people, actually cell phones now are computers, but you don't see somebody with their notebook walking down the street. I mean, you might, but that's a rarity.
Right.
Or a desktop dragging it in a wagon with a charger. But it's made us, I don't want anybody to get a hold of me. I have a cell phone because of my wife. She demands that there's accessibility. And I respect that to a degree, because I'm just so anti. I have an iPhone, you're using an iPhone to record this, but I'm just against all of it. I just, the 24-hour access, 24-hour news, all of it is no good. Letters are fantastic. Books are fantastic. And by the way, I'm not old times Johnson.
But there's a balance.
But there's not a balance. That's the problem.
There has to be a balance.
Like I will at times, both yesterday morning and today, I left my phone at home by accident, mind you. I would have preferred to have it, but I left it at home because I'm not obsessed with it.
So you didn't start sweating and you didn't get the Sweeney Todd.
And boy, I can imagine people losing it.
There's been recent psychological studies where people just, it's like an addiction.
Right. Well, no. It's not like an addiction. It is an addiction. And so I find all of that. So I'm going to talk about those things. I am. In the show.
Well, I can't wait to see it.
I mean, I don't know anybody else who's talking about that they wish cell phones weren't invented.
Well, that's taboo.
Yeah.
That's taboo.
Well, I'm going to go down that path, as people are probably texting while I'm talking.
Oh, my God. Don't get me started on that one, Jeff.
Yeah.
There's just these theaters. I don't know if you heard Patti LuPone's rave when she was in Gypsy, where she just goes off on this guy.
I heard about it. I saw her in Gypsy.
Me too, yeah.
She was very
phenomenal.
good.
What qualities from your parents do you think you inherited?
I can say one quality from each for sure. My mother, not taking no for an answer, always just moving forward. Excuse me. And my father, not believing the hype. Just don't take any of it serious, the hype, because it's a bunch of bull crap. Right. Don't think you're so great. Stay grounded. It's all a bunch of, hype.
Yep, the Hollywood machine.
Yeah, all of it.
So you have I believe you have a new talk show starting?
No, it's a thing that I do in Los Angeles at a theater space called Largo. It's called, By the Way, Jeff Garlin in Conversation With, and I've had everybody from Lena Dunham, Conan O'Brien, J.J. Abrams recently, back to Larry David, Judd Apatow, Michael Moore, a lot of Henry Rollins. I mean, a lot of really interesting people. And I just sit and talk with them in front of an audience. And I'm going to be putting them up on YouTube.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I will link to it on our website.
Cool.
What makes for a good...
Won't be till January, though, so I hope you remember it.
Oh, I will. I'll keep in touch. What makes a good talk show host? I know you're friends with Conan O'Brien, and you've been...
It's the same thing that makes a good actor, listening. Listening is everything. Listening makes you a better person. And that's what I'm talking about with cell phones. You're not listening. You're not in the moment. For any talk show host, you should listen and be in the moment. And I'm trying to think who's great at that.
Johnny Carson. That's what.
Well, Carson was great at that.
And Charlie Rose, I think.
Charlie Rose,
can lead a conversation.
Yeah, Jon Stewart, when he talks.
Was, sure.
But it's not like, and it doesn't mean somebody's a bad host if they don't, but because most of them are thinking of jokes, like Jimmy Kimmel and Conan and stuff. Funny guys, entertaining shows, but not big listeners per se, That's just the way they're wired, But I think listening is the key to that, like I said as well. And by the way, it's a key thing for a stand-up to listen to what the audience is giving you.
Yes.
And at least it is for an improviser like myself.
No, actually, I'm friends with Jason Stewart, who was just here about a month ago, and he said the exact same thing. The exact same thing. And you can watch that, because I saw his show, he did 3 performances, 3 or 4, I think, and I was there for each one. And it's amazing just how the audience feedback can either fuel or not fuel a show like that.
Yeah, the show can be good without a great audience feedback, but it can't be great without a great audience feedback.
Absolutely. Who are some of your favorite stand-up comedians?
Of all time?
Of all time.
My favorite all-time comedian is Jack Benny.
Oh my God, mine too.
Oh, really?
Oh my God.
No, Jack Benny is my favorite.
Him and Rochester, they're still one of the best comic ever.
Well, then, there's just Albert Brooks, Woody Allen, Bob Newhart, Don Rickles, Rodney Dangerfield, Richard Pryor. Louis Black today, Louis C.K., Billy Burr, Bill Burr, who else? There's so many. And then there's just funny people like Phil Silvers and Jackie Gleason, all the way to Amy Sedaris. There's just so many funny people that I just adore. So.
And you used Amy in your film.
Yeah, Amy was in my film. Yeah, I'd offer a part in my most recent film. She couldn't do it. No, she's wonderful. But there's a lot of really wonderful people that I just love.
Well, I just got the time signal because I think you're out of here.
I do have a lot of interviews today.
I appreciate your time so much. I'm a huge fan.
Well, thank you. And thank you. It was a very enjoyable interview, and I hope I talk with you again.
Well, I will see you opening night.
All right,
December
enjoy
6th.
your good looks.
Thank you. Thank you.